Hi, this is Dan Gilvazan, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Jazz here, and I am so digging the Geekcast Radio Network.
Cliff Jumper, commence countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, Toycast. Oh, yes. Listen in to the only toy podcast you will ever need.
Hello and welcome to an all-new generation of Toycast as we get the origins of any and all toy fans that we can. I am, of course, TFG and Mike. And today's featured guest is somebody I recently started following on Instagram. Instagram is kind of... I've been on there a while, but I don't do, I have, maybe 100 posts out of Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Instagram is the youngest social media for me. But this person is a Funko fan and artist. It is, and I'm probably going to trip all the hell over his name, but it is Justin Bevente. Or did I did I do that wrong? I should have asked before we started.
All good, all good. It's pronounced Bevente.
Bevente, there we go.
Thank you for having me, man. Happy to be here.
Absolutely, this is fun. So, behind the scenes, folks, we were talking, and then suddenly Darth Vader decided to hit my fuse box with his lightsaber.
Yeah, it happens.
But one of the reasons, I think, because I follow and I watch and whatever, a lot of these Funko people that do unboxings and things like that, and I want to get this person on here at some point. I've been watching Tristan, a.k.a. Top Pops, on YouTube, and I follow him on Instagram, and somehow your account came, you know how all the social media things are. You follow this person, you should follow these next 10 people.
For sure.
Okay. And then I saw you had done, because you're a digital artist, or you're an artist in general, you did a Funko Pop concept of Darth Vader with 2 lightsabers based on the Obi-Wan Kenobi episode. And I was like, ooh, Funko, yay. And then I looked at it again, and I'm like, damn it, you got me.
Yeah.
It's so good. I was like, wait, did they really? Nope. Artist.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that it could trick you. Some people get upset about that, but, that's really the goal as us, digital artists. We really want to make it look as real as possible because we want it to look like a Funko Pop as if Funko made it. So...
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we're here to talk about toys and toy collecting, and it will be heavily pointed at Funko because that's what we both collect. I don't know. We'll find out what else Justin collects. But question 1, what is or was the first toy you remember having as a kid?
Oh, boy. First toy I remember as a kid's probably got to be... I think it came out in 94 or 95, around the time that the animated series of Spider-Man came out. But it was a 12-inch Spider-Man toy from the animated series. And man, was it awesome. It was, of course, now by all means, articulation is incredible. But
right
in 94, you could just move his forearms up a little bit and his knees just slightly. But man, that thing was so rad. And I would take that wherever I could. There's a lot of, pictures from the early 90s with me and that guy. And that's definitely probably the first toy I can remember. If not that, at least the one that's definitely the most impactful for me.
Right. Yeah, very cool, very cool. 12 inches for a toy. Doesn't that mean he's a doll?
I think technically you could. They were marketing Barbies around that time. They had the Kens, the G.I. Joes, of course. But I think they were trying to pass action figures definitely along that size too. Definitely early 90s for sure.
Yeah, it's like a comeback because the original Joes were the OG original Joes were 12 inch. So yeah,
right.
Was there a particular adult who was supportive of your playing with toys as a kid? Was there anyone who was unsupportive?
I don't know if anybody unsupportive. I mean, both of my folks were always big into the idea of my brother and I. My brother's 2 years older than me, playing with toys. So I probably started a bit younger than he had, because as the younger brother, I see him having, these cool ass figures, and I don't want to just play with the Fisher Price stuff. I want to,
yeah,
I want those action figures. So my parents early on were getting me things like that too, to just kind of, keep up with him. And, they both, never were really big into like, oh, you got to be outside or anything like that. They were just, whatever makes us happy at the time, they were into. So we always had toys growing up.
Yeah, my mom was like that. My dad was more, oh, you should, he was more of the go outside. Of course, I come from divorced parents, but it's one of those things where, my mom didn't care. And half the time, because as kids, because I'm slightly older than you, but as kids in the 80s and 90s, we would take our toy, like we didn't care about, oh my God, it must stay in the package. It must be mint in. Nobody cared about mint in sealed box or mint in box in 1989 or 1997. Nobody cared. Everybody like, oh, you're going to get your Captain Planet toy wet because Duke. It was all about play and all of that. So
definitely. I mean, of course, now that I'm older. Are you kidding? You know how many Star Wars toys I wish I still had that are like sealed on the card, but like. Oh man, but no, I got them all loose and things. Yeah, right. Seriously.
It's one of those things where I've been wanting to do. This is more of a social media thing than anything else, but I've been wanting to create this story, and I've said this on some of these podcasts that I do, to see what would like. Everything in the world happens the way it has happened, except we had the internet in 1982. So to see how much of a dystopian future 2022 would be, I don't know. I haven't figured that out. I haven't figured that story out yet or anything like that. But if we only knew when we were kids, like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do the toy.
Right, exactly.
For us, toys, the value of the toy was being able to play with it, being able to have an imagination and create scenes and create this and create that.
Oh, definitely. So. I mean, the value came from literally how much you can get out of that thing before basically it broke. I mean, I had another vintage Spider-Man toy from like 95, just classic, like 6-incher. And I mean, I played with that thing until one day it just literally shattered. Like, I mean, it broke into pieces. But that was great value from it. That's all it was back then. It was play with this thing until it busts.
Yeah, absolutely. Play with it until it breaks, and then you make your parents buy you the same one all over again.
Right. Totally.
And they'll be like, you better not break this one, but it lasted me 2 years, Mom.
Right.
Like, Oh, boy. What types of toys were your favorites to play with? Obviously, there are action figures, but there are also vehicles and play sets and things like that.
Right. Yeah, I was never really big into like vehicles with figures themselves. It was really like the action figures and then play sets kind of around there. Well, I guess some vehicles, if you count like Star Wars, like spaceships and stuff, like had to get, the Millennium Falcon to put the guys in. That was a must. The Darth Vader, TIE Fighters, all of those. I have the big AT-ATs. But like a lot of Star Wars toys and then their companion pieces. We play with a lot of Ninja Turtles. I'm a huge Ninja Turtle fan. And then, one of the play sets, just kind of talking about that sticks out to my mind is, it was maybe like 98. I think it was whenever Batman and Robin came out. That
was 97, yeah.
Okay, 97. The Batman play set, and it had, it was Bruce Wayne's house, and it had Mr. Freeze's, like, it had like Freeze parts on Batman's manor and stuff. And it was just, I don't think a scene like that ever happened in the movie, but they definitely cash grabbed in on it for the play set. And oh man, I needed that sucker so bad. And I got it for one Christmas and played with that thing until it broke.
Yep.
Don't know how I broke a play set, but I did.
Yeah, no, they never showed Wayne Manor being frozen. It was just most of the downtown areas of Gotham and things like that in the movie. What were your favorite childhood toys that really stand out more than others?
Gotta be probably Star Wars ones. I mean, that was Star Wars as a whole, like really shaped kind of like my geek culture self. I mean, that original trilogy, my parents showed me that, specifically my mom. God, I had to be like 2 when she first had me watch those things. So like right away, I needed those figures and as many of those figures as I could get. And I collected. That was really like my first collecting habit form without really knowing I was collecting, because, you know, you're really too young to understand what you're doing at the time. But I would have really as many like Star Wars toys as you can. And then, you know, when Phantom Menace and all those ones came out, I needed those. And then during the Phantom Menace like release, I can't remember the name of the magazine, but there was a late 90s like Star Wars fan mail magazine. Right. And you could send pictures of your Star Wars toy collection to like possibly get featured. And I remember I like begged my parents. I was like, please, let's put all of them out on the kitchen table and just take a photo of me with them. And they were supportive with it. They were like, all right, you know, we'll do it. So they take out those big old cameras back then, and they take a picture, and we had to send it in by mail. And we never heard anything back. So I'm assuming I never got featured in the magazine.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe there's a late 90s magazine with all my toys in there, but probably not. But that was those figures are ones that really stand out to me, just because it really shaped a lot of like the stuff I'm into now.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you prefer the label of action figures, dolls, toys, or other labels when it comes to your collection?
Oh man, I really don't care. You can call them whatever you want. I call them all sorts of things. You could call them dolls. I mean, I don't know if you remember Max Steel, I think his name. Yep. Yeah, that guy was so rad. And those were considered dolls too, because they're kind of from like the G.I. Joe format. I had a lot of those. So yeah, action figures, toys, collectibles. I'm not picky. I like what I like. And if people want to call them whatever, I'm good with that.
Yeah. Good guys or bad guys? Which toys were your favorites to play with the most?
Oh, gotta be the bad guys. I mean, everybody, even if you're, you know, a good human, just it's good to pretend bad for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they definitely, I mean, they knew what they were doing. Everybody gave the bad guys the best looking, like, uniforms and costumes and everything. And even like the accessories that those figures had, all the toys, you know, from whether it's Transformers villains to Ninja Turtles villains to Star Wars, every villain looked always just so much more cool to play with.
I had the toy before I saw the movie, but after I saw the movie, I'm like, when I was playing with my Turtles figures as a kid in 1990, I'm like, holy crap, I got to make sure I do not touch Playmates 87 Shredder's blades, or else I'm going to get pricked, like basically a Snow White, like, because you see that movie, and that movie brought, like, literally that opening scene where he's coming in and you see all the stuff and the helmet and the whatever, and I'm like, holy crap, I don't want to be touching that can opener.
Right. Yeah, really, that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, absolutely. What is or was your favorite toy vehicle or playset?
I'm gonna go with the AT-AT. I got that one year for one of my birthdays, and that was so cool to play with. It had like a rope that attached from the bottom, where like in the scene where Luke attaches like his little string shot thing to kind of like grip up there to slice it with his lightsaber.
Yep.
From the movie. It had that action where you kind of like would crank the rope up and slide the Luke character up to the base of the AT-AT. And that I just thought was so cool. And you can open up the roof of it as well and have like stormtroopers put inside of it to like act like they're controlling it actually. And it was just a really rad figure.
Yeah, that was one of those figures that's like, okay, we can do a lot with this. You stretch your imagination to the point of, oh, holy crap, look what we did.
Yeah, no, definitely. For the time that it was out, it was really, really exciting.
And that's the interesting thing about, obviously we're all older now. We're all quote unquote adults. I mean, it was a time, like, I don't know what, like, because I don't have kids. I'll put it to you that way. And, I have no plans. So, yeah. I'm an old fogey at this point. But, like, I don't know what kids today, because I look at something like, let's say, Transformers Kingdom Commander Class Rodimus Prime. Mm-hmm. I look at that and I'll be like, okay, that is the original toy with modern aesthetics and modern, like, that's That's for me. That's not for the 5-year-old in the next aisle or the 9-year-old. So I'm like, today I don't know how, like, but back then when we were kids, man, it was all about imagination and just having fun, and whether you're inside or outside, and you can just create all these things and all these displays and things like that, which kind of comes into the next question, which is, did you and your friends ever pretend with your toys that you had? By this, I mean, did you say, I'm going to be this toy and you can be that toy? Like, you can be the Coke bottle top and I'll be the piece of glass. Like, you take Skeletor, you take Darth Vader out, and you say, I'm Darth Vader and you're Luke Skywalker and I'm going to cut your arm off or whatever. Oh,
totally. Totally. My brother and I growing up, we had the same mutual friend. He was our next door neighbor for many, many years. He was the same age that I am. So, we were into like everything at the same time. So we would always either go to his house or him come to our house, and we would just bust open the toys and we would grab and we'd be like, all right, I'm going to be this guy today. You're going to be these guys. And it didn't even matter if they were from the same universe or not. Like, to your point, we would be grabbing like Darth Vader, and we had like Beetleborg toys and like Power Rangers and things like that. And we would just grab a bunch of them and be either good guys or bad guys. And we would create a whole freaking story from scratch right there.
Yeah. And there's a picture of me online somewhere. It's probably on Facebook. When I was a kid, I was probably 12 at that point. Yeah. I had classic Castle, not classics, but the old Castle Grayskull, and standing outside of it was like Dick Tracy, Captain Planet, the mass vehicles were all around it, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, everything played with everything, except as boys, I don't think any of us did the Barbie doll thing.
No, probably not. But at least I didn't. I
didn't either. So.
But yeah, no, mixing and matching was definitely like part of the fun. You can really just create your own cinematic universe.
Exactly. We were doing it in the 80s, way before Marvel.
Yes.
What features define a good toy to you? How true does the item feel in comparison to the source material likeness?
Oh, man. I mean, I feel like since the era that I grew up in, likeness maybe doesn't matter as much to me as it might to some people, just because, you look at some of the toys back then and you like, sure, you can say it's supposed to, be from this character, but it looks nothing like them. Obviously now with modern day technology, like the Hot Toys, those things are photorealistic to the point where it's almost creepy. But so, those features I take as like bonuses nowadays. Like, obviously I do like to collect those. Like, I have like some realistic, like Mandalorian and Spider-Man from Hot Toys and things like that. But I don't think that's really a main defining feature of a toy. What really, what I'm looking for is just, I'm a sucker, I am a kid from the 90s, so I'm a sucker for like those flashy colors. I love the vibrant colors and packaging that toys used to come in. Like, those features are things that like really like define a great toy to me, is like the paint quality of it. Even, it doesn't even have to articulate all that well, as long as it like looks really just painted just so beautifully and vibrant and fun. That's really what I'm into.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where you want the character. You don't necessarily have to have 70 or 80 different points of art. Like, you don't have to have triple jointed knees or quadruple jointed feet, or, Nightwing's butt comes out like 3 inches more than it should. Like, you don't have to have all of that. You just need enough to where it's, worth playing with, versus like, yes, obviously we all know 80s and 90s articulation. Some was good, some was great, and then there were others that were just, okay. Yeah. With today's standards and everything else, there is something as too much articulate.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes I feel like they go a little bit overboard. Like, I don't know if I need my Spider-Man figures to be bending, that far back to like where, like, it doesn't even look like he's doing a pose anymore. It looks like he just straight up broke his spine.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, the only actual pose I want a Spider-Man action figure to actually be able to do is the crouch.
Yeah.
As long as you can get the crouch down and you can get his hand down where it's supposed to be in front of him, as long as you can do that, fine.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Even with all that articulation these days, there are some figures that the crouch on Spider-Man is just still not there.
It's cringeworthy. It's like, how do you not do this right?
Just give him a nice little abdomen crunch and good articulation in the knees, and we're set. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're in a toy store, and I'm going to say toy store because, and this could be today, this could be as a kid, whatever, but you're in an actual toy store, let's say Toys R Us or KB Toy. Like, it's not look, I get it. Walmart and Target and whatever else, that's what we have today. Because
those are not toy stores,
they're not
man.
Toy stores. They are department stores. They are big box stores. But let's say you're in a toy store. What does the toy packaging have to draw you in? So you're walking down the toy aisle and you see all these Star Wars toys. You see all these Masters of the Universe toys. You see what does the packaging have to make you go and say, I want this?
Yeah, I mean, I touched on it just briefly a little bit ago. It's really like those colors, like the ones that really come to mind. Like, I'm going to use the KB Toys and the Toys R Us as the example, just because those were what I used, and I miss those stores. But what drew me to those ones, like some 90s X-Men animated series toys, like that packaging, the like bright yellows, the harsh blues, the contrast of those reds, and then like big pictures of the characters themselves. But it's not like, today they'll use like 3D rendered ones, but like they had 2D animators like draw what the figures looked like, or they even would use like screenshots from the cartoons, and that type of stuff is still, even today, I'm recently like gotten back into like retro collecting, and I've been getting more into like early 80s, late 90s, early 2000s figures like in box. And those are the pieces that I'm like after, is the ones that have those colors and like the art on there that doesn't necessarily even look like what the figure would look like, but it was just enough to like draw and pull you in. And that's just something that they just don't do anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing. One thing that a couple of things that toy packaging needs to have today is it needs to have a good artist render on the side. Like, you look at, again, I'll reference Transformers Kingdom Commander Class Rodimus. You look at that, and it's got a nice picture of him on the side and the front because it's a closed box or whatever. And then you've got like on the back of the packaging, you need to have two things. You need to have a cross cell at the bottom, and you need to have an actual image of what like you can put it on whatever background you want to put it on. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
But you need to have what the toy actually looks like, especially with Transformers in both modes. But if it's something like X-Men or Spider-Man or Batman or whatever, as long as you see the figure on the outside, because that's the thing, like nowadays they're all going to close, and I understand why they're going to closed box packaging. They want to do, and it's great. They want to do away with using plastics and be better for the environment and all that.
Right.
But at the same time, with closed box packaging, you need to be able to see what the toy looks like.
Yes, definitely.
If it's going to, if it's so that way, you look at the front and it's like, oh, cool, yay, awesome. You flip it over to the back. Oh, okay, so that's the toy that's inside of here.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get it home and open it up or leave it closed or whatever.
Right. And even kind of with that too is I feel like you don't really see it too much on toy packaging anymore either, but like flipping it over and that cheesy picture of some child actor literally playing with it and they just look so stoked.
Yep.
And you then embody that and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to take this home and be that kid. They don't really have that either on the packaging anymore.
Yeah,
and I want that back too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't watch TV the way I used to because now we live in the whole streaming wars and everything else. But, you look at the classic Transform, like you have the kid, I don't remember what the kid's name was, but you had the kid where he's like, Transformers are more than meets the eye, and the kid is like they're robots in disguise, and they put the robot face over. And then you have the one classic Masters of the Universe commercial with Castle Grayskull, and you have this kid who's so excited, and then you have this actor who comes in playing and the dad's like, "What is this? And I'm like, "Oh my." Who are these people? Like, I know it's 80s, but oh my God.
I mean, toy commercials were just something so special.
Yeah.
And like you said, I barely watch TV too, but I can't even imagine there being too many toy commercials really anymore because kids these days, I feel like, don't even play with toys. I feel like it's all just, give me an iPad or an iPhone. And so, like, I don't, what are those toy commercials out nowadays? I couldn't even tell you.
I could not even I don't even know. Like I said, I still watch, but like I don't. When I say like I don't, I watch a lot of stuff because I'm a podcaster and I end up reviewing a lot of stuff, things like that. But like when I say I don't watch TV the way I used to, it's more of yes, I cut the cord, so I have internet and I have whatever, but like. For me, if I'm paying for content, I want ad-free content. I want to be like you used to be able to go out and buy a complete series DVD set of whatever cartoon or TV show. There are no commercials on that. They're just the episodes. So with streaming, it's like if I'm paying for this, I don't want any ads. So yeah, I don't know. I have zero clue. Anyone listening wants to let us know what current toy commercials are like, and maybe we'll do an episode on that in the future because I have zero knowledge of that. Do you open your toys or do you leave them packaged? If you keep toys packaged, do you have a specific criteria?
As a kid, it was always open. I didn't really care about that. Wanted to play with them as much as possible. Now as an adult and having this as more of a hobby, most of them stay in the box. We talked earlier, like I'm big into Funkos right now as well. I have I stopped counting them in the Funko app when I hit 380, and that was sometime last year.
Oh, no.
So It's well over 400 now, for sure. I'm sure I'll count them all one day, but as of right now, I just don't care to. And I would say maybe 3 are out of the box, and then the rest are all in box. And same with then like the retro toys I'm collecting now. I'm getting into more Ninja Turtles toys again and more Star Wars toys, and those ones I'm making sure are like certified in box when I can find them at like flea markets and things like that. And for new things like Funkos, I want those boxes, if I'm going to keep them in the box, to be like pristine. If it has a little crease in a corner here and there, obviously that's fine, especially if it's on the back, because I display them on floating shelves. So, the back's going to be against the wall anyway. So I'm not really going to notice that. But, if the window's foggy or scuffed or anything like that, then I'll either just pass on the figure all entirely or take that one out of the box and try and find a better boxed figure. So that's really, when it's coming to keeping things in the box, I really just want a clean box. Obviously with retro things nowadays, like that's obviously much harder to find. So if it's anything from like 20 years and past, as long as like the box is not completely destroyed to all hell, I'm good with that.
Yeah. As long as it's not postal worker steps on it. And,
yeah.
I've seen some, and I don't understand the fascination. We'll get into all the Funko stuff here in a bit, but I don't understand the fascination of people loving to see these damaged Funko Pop. I'm like, oh, that hurts me. It hurts my soul. Like,
yeah. Like there's dedicated people to that, and that's just it. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, so I have, and we'll talk about this later with Funko, but my buddy, Wes, who was on the show a while ago, he has his own Funko Pop store and whatever else in Nashville, Tennessee, called Poppin' Off Toys, and he posted a while ago about, brand new Marvel number 1057, J. Jonah Jameson holding up a Daily Bugle, and the thing says, Spider-Man, Threat or Menace, and it's a non-bobble Marvel fun. I'm like, and I've tried to scan this thing into the app, it doesn't come up, and I'm like,
really,
what weird thing is this? That like I didn't even see like when Wes, made the post on social media. It was like, really? Because the only J. Jonah that they have currently listed is the one from
Far From Home, right?
Either that Far From Home or Justice League or what? No, that's Gordon. I'm thinking, the one from Far From Home. And I'm like, what is this strange thing I now have? Like literally, it's right here. Like it's right on my desk, and I kind of like Marvel Pops with no bobble. I understand why they have to do the bobble, and that's fine, but like,
right. That's actually really, because that's a figure I didn't get yet. I love that figure. It's an awesome one, and I think the newspaper that he's holding is such a great touch, and he's got his cigar and everything. But I did not know that that's not a bobble. That's very strange, because they have to do that for copyright reasons.
Yeah.
So that's weird how they got around that for this one.
Yeah, I don't know. And the box, again, talking about damaged boxes or boxes that are in, there's somebody that designed this box. There's somebody that did this digital art of his face, of, the product shot on the front, or the side and the back and on the top. So one of the artists at Funko made this, and then they just did the Beyond, because on the back of it, it doesn't even have a cross-sell. It just has him with his, fist, and it says Beyond Amazing. So I'm wondering if maybe they got the rights through Sony or something. I don't know. The whole Marvel, Disney, Sony, it's a whole rigmarole that just is nuts. So, but yeah, I mean, sometimes I will open my Pops if I want to take a picture of them, or if I want to, I'm not here to play with them. I'm here to make a display. Like I did, it's in one of my Facebook albums. I had they released Red Robin. They released Tim Drake Red Robin a while ago.
Yeah.
And they released, what is it? It's Death of the Family Joker. So the Scott Snyder Joker with the ripped off face. So I reenacted the Jason Todd scene. So basically, I had the Tim Drake Red Robin lying on his back, and I had Joker standing over top. So I'll take a picture of that and post it and say, "Hey, here's the Joker, and here's here's Robin. Robin's, But I'm not going to sit here and play with these. Like, I like having them in the box, and once in a while, I'll take them out to take pictures and stuff. But I'm not sitting here as a 42-year-old, 6'1", almost 500-pound fat guy. Right. Oh my God, I have to play with, oh my God, J. Jonah Jameson has to go up against. No, I'm not doing
that. Right, yeah. That's a good point. I wonder if there are people that play with the Funkos like that. I never viewed them like that.
Unless, unless it's somebody that buys them for their kids. I don't know.
Right, yeah. Kids definitely would probably do that for sure.
If as a kid or an adult, you only were allowed to choose one toy franchise to collect from, which one would you choose and why?
Oh, man. That's really tough because there's just so many great ones. But I know I talked about Star Wars a lot, but I'm actually going to go with Ninja Turtles on this just because I just like the way obviously that they look is just so great. But they have so many different varieties with them, even if they weren't ever in the show or in the comics. Like, I just love, they even have, like Ninja Turtles, like LARPing series. Like there's Ninja Turtles toys where they're like dressed in like Camelot stuff and things like that. And all the different shredders that you can have and all the different splinters and just everything about Ninja Turtles, I'm all for. And all the wacky ideas that you can bring in toy form, I think just works so well with that franchise that I'm just gimme everything Ninja Turtles and I'll be set.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is so fun. Let's see. As an adult, do you prefer vintage toys or modern toys?
I'm going to go with vintage now. There was maybe a time where I would have said modern for like, the look of them and things like that. But just as I'm getting older, that nostalgia hits me harder and harder each passing year. And I just want to go back to those days and again, those vibrant colors and the simple times where they could barely move. There's just a charm to those figures that I feel like companies don't really have these days. And even like my wife, she is into collecting figures too. She's a big Barbie doll fanatic. So she's collecting currently like almost any like vintage Barbie she can find. And sure, she has like some retro or some modern day ones as well. And like even looking at like the quality from like retro Barbies to Barbies today, like the companies just they don't seem to like really care anymore. And that's just, I feel like toys in general, you can kind of just lump that into the big toy category, is that we don't care anymore. You'll buy it regardless. And I don't know, that's just something that I don't really like. Obviously you can, with more expensive ones like those Hot Toys.
Yeah.
But you don't always want to be hashing out hundreds of dollars for a figure.
No.
So I'll take those retro ones, man.
If I am going, so if I'm going to shell out money for anything, because again, for me, it's more about display and how it looks and things like, it's not about the play factor anymore. I would buy a statue before I would buy a Hot Toy action figure.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Like, I would, if it's a nice, good, representation of insert character name, like Nightwing, sure. Batman, Batgirl, whatever, I would buy a statue before I would buy a Hot Toy figure. I would invest that money in an actual statue of like, again, talking about Spider-Man in the classic crouch pose.
Yeah.
Instead of buying the action figure and trying to get it into that pose, here's this J. Scott Campbell statue or whatever. kind of thing.
No, I totally get that. I think that makes sense, actually.
Yep. What is one toy you can always play with? So you go and you look at your collection wherever it's displayed, and you just kind of like want to grab something and just kind of fiddle with it a little bit. What is that toy for you?
It's probably what I got on like my desk, which would be I have on my desk right now it's a modern replica of a 90s toy where, again, we kind of talked about that earlier. It's like, who is that toy for? That's got to be for people our age.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody else will care. But it's a classic 90s symbiote Spider-Man, like black suit Spider-Man. It was like from Hasbro or one of them. And he's on my desk. And I always just, anytime I see him, I'll rearrange his pose and everything like that. And then next to him, I got the box set from Endgame, where it was the Thanos doing the snap and then the Iron Man doing the snap.
Yeah.
And they had like alternate heads and different like hands that you can do the snaps or do fighting poses. And I'll rearrange those guys like, once every while just to be like, okay, you know what? Today I want them to be snapping, or today I want Thanos to like look like he like got defeated. So those are the ones that are like most recently on my desk that I'll, every once in a while, like kind of be like, all right, it's time to repose these guys.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Even though there are always toy lines that people never purchase, are there any that you specifically and purposefully avoid? This can be toy lines, characters, etc.
I don't know. I've never really. I mean, I guess I avoid almost anything that I don't have an interest in. If that counts.
Yeah.
I collect Funko and like Star Wars and Ninja Turtles and things like that. So really anything that's kind of not those brands, I'm just kind of like, all right, that's cool, I guess. Unless it's like really something that's just like so out of the ordinary that I'm like, oh, I really need to have that. For the most part, I just kind of stick to what I like, and then the rest can just kind of go take a hike.
Yeah, or other people can buy it and whatever. Yeah. And the same thing kind of goes for Funkos, because we'll get into this a little bit later too, but I came to Funko Pop because they reminded me of the Mighty Mugs I used to collect. When
nice.
Hasbro was doing Mighty Mugs.
For
in late 2016, beginning of 2017, that's when I found Funko, and I'm like, oh, these are cool. These are great. I have only ever watched the first 20 minutes of the first episode of Game of Thrones, and I'm like, they're just walking. They're not even talking. All they do is walk. They're not doing. I'm not watching this, so there's no way in hell I'm going to buy a Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? Like, there's things.
Oh, I hear you. I mean, well, I hear what you're saying. I don't understand though, because Game of Thrones is my favorite show. But that's another. We'll have another topic another day for that.
All they did was walk for the first 20 minutes, and I'm like, somebody say something.
I get it.
Oh, it is what it is. Are there? Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I totally get that. Like even with Funko itself too, like because I collect obviously a shitload of Funko Pops, but even that being said, it's mainly the ones that like I have an interest in. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm a moderate DC fan. And then, everything kind of like in between so with stuff. So it really comes down to like what the Funko is.
Yeah.
I've never really been like, oh my God, it's super rare. I have to have it. Like if it's rare, it's rare. Like, that's just but everything else then is just, what I like with it.
And I don't know if because I haven't gone back and listened to my own episode of this show that I did where I had my buddy Josh ask me all these questions, but I am not a fan of Freddy. I don't understand.
Really?
Like, I get it. Okay. I get it. It's their mascot. They created it. Whatever. Fine. Overall, I am not a fan of Freddy because I think he just looks too. I don't know, but yet
I could get that. I could get that. I'm a Freddy fan sporadically.
Yeah.
Like I like when they do. Like I got the Freddy Frankenstein, the OG one, not the one from like a couple years ago where he's got the cell phone. I got like the one where it's modeled from the actual Frankenstein's monster that's like limited to 300.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because it was limited to 300. It was because that mold of like the OG Frankenstein is just really cool. You know, Frankenstein's monster is fantastic. So Freddy as that looked really cool to me. And then, you know, I like a couple like of the Freddys, like Skater Freddy, and they have Baseball Freddy. That's pretty cool looking. But for the most part, Freddy is just so to me. But I like when they do certain things with him.
Yeah. I have 2 of them so far, but there is only one other Freddy that, as of right now in 2022, there's only one other Freddy I would want, and then I would be done with Freddy. I have Officer Freddy from NYCC a couple of years ago because that was cool to me. I thought that was great. And it's the only one I'll probably have, but I have the HQ Pop Town, which comes with a Freddy inside of it, I believe.
Yes.
The only other one I want is Social Media Freddy with him holding the phone.
Yeah.
That's the only other one because I think it's cool. I don't like Freddy dressed up as anybody. Like, you dress Freddy up as Batman, it's like, what?
They literally just did that. They announced that today for the Box of Fun. That's one of them.
God, the Box of Fun.
That's a hit or miss thing for me, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not this may be a hot take to Funko listeners out there, but I am not a fan of blacklight Funkos. I don't think that translates well in a pop. So this year's Day of Funkos was just a hard pass for me.
There is only one out of all of the black lights that they're doing. There is only one that I would add to my collection.
And that is
the Target exclusive Kate Bishop with Lucky, because it's all purple.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And my 2 favorite colors are black and purple. So
nice.
I love Kate Bishop in the show. I love the way that they did the little Lucky and the pop. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, I would want, out of all these specialty things that Funko does, like the black lights, like the pop towns, I don't need Scooby Doo's mansion. I really don't. Like, I don't. You know, if I had enough, like, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment and there's enough space for some stuff, but like, if I was going to turn my apartment into like Funkoville, because that's part of this, I think that's part of SDCC this year, is that they're calling it Funkoville. If I was going to turn my apartment into Funkoville and have like a giant table in my living room displaying all the pop towns and making a city out of, I know Top Pops, aka Tristan, he did this on his channel with his pop towns that he has.
Yeah, he did.
I would do that, but that's if I was going to do that. But in general, like, I don't need even the rides. The only ride I have, because the only way they ever did this, which is fine, the only ride I have, well, no, technically I have 2. I have Elastigirl on motorcycle because I found that somewhere extremely cheap. It was after it was it was after release and all that and everything else. But for me, I am a huge Knight Rider fan, and when they made that, I'm like, okay, yep, need that. But that's the only, like, I don't need the A-Team van. I don't need Marty in Back to the Future. Do I want some of the back? I have one Back to the Future pop. I have Doc with, it was the old Loot Crate exclusive, I believe. But anyway, it's just one of those things where just because I collect Funko doesn't mean I'm collecting everything that Funko makes. Because exactly. It would be like, I'm not going to be featured on Hoarders. Thank you very much.
Right. No, I mean, that's, you said it perfectly. I think that, I mean, I feel like that could be summed up not just Funko, but just fans of things in general these days. Just because you're a fan of something doesn't mean you have to like really love or even just like everything that they produce. And that goes with Funko, with Marvel, with everything. Like, some of it's just going to tank. And I think, honestly, a lot of the Funkos as of late just haven't been all that great. I feel like, and obviously with the pandemic, cost of everything kind of like had to come into effect, and they, cut corners with some stuff. But, I'm just not going to collect some of those ones just because like it's, the same molds used over and things like that. And, or just like, here's another Blacklight or here's another Pop Town. And I don't even think I have a single Pop Town. I just don't need it.
Yeah. I mean, I should have told you this before, but I think I did. I lost my wife late last year in November. And at the time, and I know I've said this on other podcast listeners, so I'm sorry. I repeat myself a lot. Anyone that's listened to me in the last 14 years knows I repeat these stories. But her dream was to live on the Oregon coast. Well, because of our health issues and everything else, I'm like, let's find something where at least the ambulance is going to get to us in case anything does happen. Because on the Oregon coast, I mean, there are some but like it's like 20 miles between, so we lived in Vancouver, Washington from 2019 until I just moved here to Indiana last month. So we never got a chance because the pandemic is what the pandemic is, and we are still sadly in it, even though people think we're not. We are, but it's one of those things where when that hit, it was like, okay, well, we're not going to go there. Like, I went from living with her in Chicago, Illinois, to basically a 3-hour flight from Chicago to Portland, Oregon. I went from that to only being a 3-hour drive away from Funko, and I don't drive. She was the driver. So it's like, I'm so close. I just want to walk through the thing once. And that's why I had to grab the Pop Town for HQ because now that I'm living in Indiana by myself, I have zero interest in traveling anywhere ever again. Like, as far as, like, getting on a plane, getting on a train, like, sure, I'll go with friends, like, if they want to, if we want to go to a concert or if somebody wants to, whatever, fine. In a car, fine. But, like, I am not doing this long-distance travel thing anymore. So, it's just one of those things where that's the beauty of Funko is you can have this thing that nobody else is making. Like, you look at the ad icons. How many other companies, and I'm sure in the history of toys there have been, and I know there have been, Count Chocula, Lucky the Leprechaun. I know there have been dolls and other, but seriously, even though most of those are now kind of out of reach with the value of them as far as the pops go. You look at those and be like, okay, this is a character that I grew up watching the commercials. I now have this character. I can take him out. I can look at him. I can put him back in the box. I can put him on display with everybody else. What other toy company has made a Colonel Sanders? No,
I mean, you're absolutely right.
Like,
outside of like back in the day, you can like get, little toys of them in the actual cereal, or like if you sent off like the box tops and things like that, the cereal company would send you them. But you're right. Nobody else is really doing that. And that's something that's so unique to them. And that is a line that I actually do really like. I love the ad icon line. It's just because of the fact that, to your point, it's who else is doing that? I have a freaking Colonel Sanders upstairs just holding a bucket of chicken. It's super cool.
I have a picture in my Funko album on Facebook that I took. I had specifically ordered at the time, a couple of years ago, whenever he originally came out. I specifically that day, so I could take pictures, I specifically ordered KFC crispy strips. So I could just have the crispy strip on the plate with the pop in the background.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Are there any toys in the past or currently that you wish you hadn't bought them? Are there any toys that you may have sold that you regret letting go?
sold and let go. I mean, I'm sure we used to have a couple garage sales back in the day, so I'm sure I've probably given away some that now I wish I hadn't. I can't, nothing particularly comes to mind because most, I feel like, of our toys from our childhood is still at my folks' house, but I'm sure there are some. And then,
Are there any toys in the past or currently that you wish you hadn't bought them?
toys that I wish I hadn't bought. I mean, there's honestly some, like, as of now, there are some Funkos that I'm like, okay, maybe that was an impulse buy. I kind of don't really need those anymore. Of course, I still haven't even sold them or anything because I'm just a collecting, hoarding goblin at this point in my life. So they're just part of the collection.
Yeah.
But there is some regret with them. There's some regret with, I can't remember the line who made it. I think it was McFarlane. A couple of years back, I was a huge Walking Dead fan, and they did some like Walking Dead quote unquote figures. They were basically just little statues because you couldn't really move them outside of just their heads. Got a Negan, got a Rick, got a Daryl, and I think that's it. And could I even tell you where they are to this day?
Nope.
Not a clue where they are. They were like $20 each. It was just because I'm like, oh, I love this show, and it's one of my favorite comic series. Like I love the comic. The show turned into just it is what it is.
Yeah.
But those are kind of figures that I regret. A couple Funkos, and then maybe those Walking Dead ones kind of could have saved in the wallet department there.
How large or small is your toy collection? Do your toys take up the whole house, or are they relegated to one room, shelf, or something like that?
For the most part, they are all in the basement. I'm very fortunate that, like I said earlier, my wife's very understanding of this hobby, and she is kind of into her own collecting as well. So our basement is just kind of our gaming collecting room. We have a whole wall is filled with floating shelves of Funkos. There's probably like over 300 on the wall. Then we have shelving in there that have Funko Pops. Our like gaming cabinet has toys on there from like Ninja Turtles to Hot Toys to little Funko minis, like the mystery minis that they used to have. The only ever ones of those that I collected were Cuphead, the game, just because that's one of my favorite video games of all time. So I have like those. And then it really doesn't spread too much further than that outside of like my office is upstairs. And I have shelving with some more Funkos that are just more, personal favorites of mine that I want to see when I'm working every day. And then like a couple things on my desk, like I said, that Spider-Man or that Endgame moment and things like that. But that's not due to probably space. It's more of just like my own conscious decision of like, I want to see these when I'm working for a glimpse of fun during these 8 hours of the workday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's one of those things where the reason why I phrased that question the way I do is because a buddy of mine who lives up in Canada, he is a huge Transformers like he has his entire house. There are Transformers in every aspect of his house, other than the kitchen and the bathroom, that kind of thing. But and it's not just the toys; it's like posters and collect like other things in the brand and things like that. So, how do you keep track of your collection?
I really don't, honestly, is the full honest answer. Like I said earlier, like last year, and I mean prior to that too, but I was trying to keep up with everything in the Funko app, and like, when I get a new Funko, scan it in, but then I was just like, there's really no point. I don't really need to know how many I guess I have, or the other cool thing about the app is that it obviously like tracks their value and things like that. But I mean, I'm probably not really going to sell these because I don't get these guys to as like an investment. Obviously, like they are, because, you know, things like this go up in value usually, but that's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it for it because it brings me joy, because I love looking at these things. So I was like, it's just more of a hassle to remember to do this. So I lost track of what I collect at that point, and then everything else from there, just like other action figures wise, or I'm getting into like collecting a lot of like Nintendo Power magazines again. Like I don't keep track of anything. I'm like, if I got it, I got it. And that's good with me.
Well, there you go. That's awesome. So you mentioned earlier that you have them on floating shelves and other shelves, but do you display, displaying your toys, is there like we mentioned earlier about how some people keep, these are the Disney figures, these are how do you display, how is your display laid out? Like, are you making Spider-Man go up against Batman? Are you making Optimus Prime face down Cobra Commander? That kind of stuff.
Sure. I have them displayed right now in just kind of favorites, basically. So like the ones that I really like the molds of, I have more towards the bottom. So that way, you know, they're more at eye level, so I can see them when I, you know, walk into the basement or anything like that. And then towards the top, and then, you know, up towards like the ceiling are ones that, you know, I still like, but, you know, are they my favorite of the collection? No. And then everything else I kind of like lump, like I have all my Ninja Turtles like on the gaming like center next to the TV, and some of them are also on. We have the arcade 1-up Turtles in Time Machine, so some of them are on there too. So like Turtles are categorized together. Gaming stuff, like I have all the Cuphead figures together. I have some old, I can't remember the brand from it. It's a Japanese name from like 2001. The original Animal Crossing had miniature towns. I have some OG like Animal Crossing stuff there too. So like gaming figures, and then my Endgame figures and other like miscellaneous Marvel stuff. So those are together. So Pop's kind of order from favorite to least favorite, and then everything else is just lumped in that series itself.
Right, yeah. All right. So, if you could only keep one toy from your entire collection, what would it be and why? And basically how I phrase this to people is, everybody is safe, humans, pets, kids, whatever. You're all out of the house, but the house is on fire. Which is the one thing you'd run in to save?
Whew. Oh man, that's tough. I've thought about moments like this. This is how much of a dork I am. Is I've thought of like scenarios of like, if our house is on fire, and I'm like, one thing's just got it, like, value aside, you know, like for nostalgia purposes.
Well, yeah.
I think I'd scoop up just as many things from like my Ninja Turtles section as I can, because they're all pretty small. So I think I can grab more than just one in one quick little scoop. I think I could get at least probably like maybe like 10 in my mitts, and then I think we're good to go with that. And I'll just rebuild the collection
as the fire is nipping at your heels as you run out the house.
Yeah. I'm making sure whichever turtle's coming with is the right one.
Here's the Toy Box Challenge. You get one 18 by 18 by 18 box. The only toys you can keep have to fit in the box. What can you pack into it?
Packing in like specifics, or just like...
Yeah, just like what toys can you fit in that box?
Okay. I'm fitting in... Oh, man. Unfortunately, Funkos in box are like 4 inches, so that's already so limiting. But I'm going to throw in some Funkos that are my absolute favorites. Throwing in favorite Turtles. Throwing in favorite Spider-Mans. Definitely got to throw in some Star Wars ones. And then I'm assuming there'll probably be a little bit of room left to throw in a couple of the Animal Crossing miniatures, just because those things are way too cool to ever not have in storage.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick ad break. We're going to come back after this.
Like science fiction? Of course you do, or you wouldn't be listening to the Geekcast Radio Network. Well, the Mark Who 42's Universe podcast is an award-winning sci-fi radio show that's been around for over 10 years. We cover everything from Doctor Who to the MCU to pop culture and everything in between. A new show drops on Tuesday mornings on the GCRN website and all of the major podcast platforms. So listen to the Mark Who 42's Universe podcast from the universe and beyond.
Do you like retro cartoons? Then Saturday Morning Rewind is the podcast for you. Join them each month as they talk about classic cartoons and interview legendary voice actors like Jim Cummings.
I am the terror that flaps in the night.
Corey Burton.
Sometimes toys can be so flighty.
Rob Paulson.
Sure, Blaine, but how are we going to find chaps our size?
Nancy Cartwright and many more.
Eat my shorts.
So grab a bowl of Lucky Charms.
They're magically delicious.
Put on your hammer pants. Go to SaturdayMorningRewind.com. And be prepared to feel like a kid again. Once again, that's SaturdayMorningRewind.com. Saturday Morning Rewind was voted Best Podcast Ever by its host, Tim Nidell. So it's gotta be good.
One of the primary themes of ToyCast is that we focus on times past. We are who we are today because of the nostalgic memories and experiences from our childhood. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing this podcast if it weren't for the toys that make us so addicted to nostalgia. Times Past Collectibles in Chicago, Illinois is your primary go-to collectibles store to reclaim the toys that drove those memories and experiences. Specializing in action figures from all of your favorite toy lines like Star Wars, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, Silverhawks, Ghostbusters, TMNT, Mask, and more. Get your dose of nostalgia with a shop run by collectors for collectors. Whether you are looking for loose G.I. Joe, Ice Cream Soldier, a packaged Leonardo, recent Star Wars Black Series figures, or an AFA-graded Boba Fett, Times Past Collectibles is bringing you back to your childhood. Visit the shop at 1450 North Ashland Ave in Chicago, just 2 blocks south of Ashland and North Ave. Call the shop at 847-830-1031 or email timespastcollectibles1982@gmail.com. You can also find them on Facebook. Just search Times Past Collectibles because, folks, it's past time that you get your collectibles.
What was that universal greeting again? Never mind, I remember. Ba weep grana, weep nitty bong.
Hey guys, it's Rodimus Primal, and be sure to check out my YouTube channel. Join me as I have Transformers discussions, retrospectives, toy reviews, and more. You can also follow me on Twitter at Rodimus Primal, as well as Facebook and Instagram at Rodimus Primal Show. Transform and roll out, and be sure to check out my content till all are one.
Last big party of the summer, folks. Let's go out with a bang.
All right, we are back here on ToyCast, and we've talked about it a little bit already, so we kind of know that we kind of already know the answer to this question, but are you a Funko fan, and when did you first become a Funko fan?
Yes, I am a big Funko fan. Could you imagine if we came back from the ad and I was like, no, I hate it. That would have been the craziest twist, and I'm so bummed I dropped that ball. Yes, big Funko fan, which I am allowed to not like what they do sometimes. That's part of being a fan. And I started really getting into it like late 2017. I got my first Funko when I was like starting college in 2012, and it was heading in the city. There's a Disney store out there, and my brother and his now wife, huge Disney fans, so they were like, oh, we got to go into the Disney store. I'm just a casual Disney fan.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, nothing really here is catching my eye, except I saw the OG Pinocchio that they had. So, 2012 Funkos are just very limiting. They're just the basic arms straight out pose.
Yep.
Really no details, but I like Pinocchio, so I was like, all right, you know what, I'll grab this. And at the time, I thought really nothing of it, so I took it out of the box. And that's one of the only Funkos that are out of the box now, and that's unfortunate because that is a very expensive pop in the box. So that would have just been cool to have. But again, I'm not going to sell it, so it doesn't really matter too much. But so that was the first Funko I got, and I was just like, this is pretty neat. But then when I was just, I can't remember what really got me into it more, but just kind of like throughout college, then I would just see, more videos or things online like with them. And I was like, you know what, that is kind of a cool way to like express pop culture. And it's, it reminded me of, obviously, they're inspired by like those vintage bobbleheads and everything like that from their start and everything. And
Yep.
I loved the aesthetic of that. So I was like, I kind of do want to get into that. And when I really got into it, my first one was the very first Mythline Bigfoot. There was the Bigfoot, like just the classic flocked one, or the flocked blue and green one for like 2,000 pieces. And I was like, whoa, they have rarities with this? That's pretty cool that you can like do different varieties into these characters. All right, you know what? I think I'm all in on this Funko thing. And it was just an immediate, I got that one, and just from there on, like, just all in. I was like, all right, every Funko that I really like, I just gotta get.
Yeah, I specifically stick with Pop, but I know they have, like, Dorbs, and they have
right
mystery minis and things like that, and I'm just, like, I don't like how the Dorbs look. Like the
so I take it then you're not a Sodas fan then?
I don't understand. It's not that like I have no ill will towards the but like it's not what I'm interested in. But I just don't understand. Like
no, I get it. I was just curious with that one. I don't have any Sodas myself. That's another one that myself I also don't really get that one.
Yeah.
If people like it, to each their own. I'm never going to think it's weird to like something. Yeah. I like so many things. So, like, if you love to collect it, that's great and awesome. But for me, it's just, it just seemed like the Dorb style a little bit too much. And I didn't like any of the Dorbs. The only mystery minis, like I said, were the Cuphead ones that I had just because I adore that game. And there's not really many Cuphead figures out there, so I got those.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just I'll stick with the Pops, man. That's your niche, I think, and that's what you do best.
So I'm on my buddy's website, and I'm looking at the Hawkman, DC Heroes Hawkman soda. And the reason I know now why I don't like the sodas is because it's essentially closed box. They come in a can. And I think the can is cool because they want you to think, oh, it's soda. But then the figure is so like Funko Pops are sort of super deformed. They're not really super deformed, but like big head, tiny body kind of thing. But the sodas are like, here, let's make the entire thing tiny so it can fit in this can that you can't ever look at it unless you take it out of the can.
Yeah.
Like
that would be why you don't like it. You mentioned earlier that that's like your biggest packaging pet peeve.
Yeah,
it all comes full circle now. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is, I guess.
Same with mystery minis, because like it's just here's a cool packaging, but what's the figure you're gonna get?
Yep. Now the keychains, I kind of see not necessarily value in those, but I kind of see why you're gonna you're gonna put a insert character like Nightwing or Batman or whatever. You're going to put it on your keys, and you're going to, if you take your keys out and what's that? It may be a conversation starter.
Totally.
Because the Pop keychains, you're not buying those as the same reason as why you're buying the Funko Pops themselves, because you're not going to sit there and display. I mean, some people do display them, and that's fine, but I mean, to me, it's like, oh, I want this cool character on my keys more so than I want. Yeah. Like, if I wanted Batman Beyond to display, I would get the pop.
Just get the pop.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I have one pop keychain, and it's a Captain Marvel, just because I'm a big Captain Marvel fan of the comics, and I actually do really enjoy the movie. Hot take, but I have her on my keys, and that's like you said, it's really just because I like Pops and I like the character, so I'm like, I'll look at this when I drive. I don't mind, but outside of that, most of the time, if I want other figures of her, I'll just get then the full figure.
Full figure. Yeah, and you know what? Captain Marvel wasn't a bad movie.
It's not, dude. I'll defend that movie for my life. That movie rips.
I mean, the only gripe I have about it is like, yes, do I want to know how Fury lost his eye? Absolutely. Do I think the alien, that was a little, really? That's how,
right. Right.
Okay, fine, whatever, but really?
Yeah.
I don't mind, I'm glad that we now have the answer of why kind of thing.
Sure.
But
sure. But it was a little tongue in cheek.
Yeah, very, very.
And that movie's great. People listening, definitely give it another chance. I think you're just mad because you don't like Brie Larson because she's said some things in the past that got people mad.
There are plenty of things that everybody has said. I don't know. All right, what was the most money you spent on a toy or a toy item?
Oh, geez. So this one, hurts a bit to say, but it's all for the love of the cause. For that Freddy Funko Frankenstein that I got, that's limited to 300 pieces. And again, it's probably more painful because I don't look at these as investments, even though they are.
Right.
I just wanted this figure so bad because I just think it's just the coolest Freddy Funko.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a shame that it's so limited.
Yeah.
I paid I think $450 for that thing.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, now, according to the Funko app, I think as of right now, it's worth $700 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's gone up.
That's good. Yeah.
It's not. But again, I don't care if that thing went down in value. To me, it was just so rad that I have it. And I do like the fact that it's limited because, it's just really cool to say hey, I have one of only 300 things made in the world.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to a conversation we had earlier with retro toys, and that's just how I feel now. I'll hash out a little bit more money for some retro toys because of the fact that they're not really, mainstream anymore. They're really hard to find. There's a couple Ninja Turtles figures that I'm looking into getting that are 25 years old, that there's only a handful out there right now.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just part of the great collecting. What I love about collecting is the fact that yes, you got to spend a little bit more money, but you then have something so cool and so rare, and it just makes you happy, man.
Yeah, it's the same thing with me. For that question is right now, currently, what's the most I've spent is probably whatever Officer Freddy was and whatever the Funko HQ. I know it wasn't MSRP. It was probably $20 or $30 higher than MSRP of those, but
sure.
Plus, I mean, even though, and we might as well get into this now, but stickers. Oh God, just it hurts my head. But I don't care if it has a stick. Again, I'll use Officer Fred. It has the New York Comic-Con Summer Convention exclusive. Okay, fine. If it has the summer exclusive sticker, fine. That's fine. That's the sticker that's on there. I don't care that it's not the New York Comic-Con limited to blah.
Same.
Some of these people and these stickers, it's a damn sticker.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. And I think, I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I do think that like a lot of people who care about the sticker are probably people who do view these more as investments.
Right. Yeah.
Versus just, great to have. Because, down the line, if you ever are in a bind or for whatever reason you want to sell them, obviously the, full-on con sticker or whatever it may be will sell a bit more.
Yeah.
But that being said, like, I agree with you. I mean, I even think that some of, like, the official stickers kind of suck. Like, I think that some of them don't look good or they're just too big and they're taking too much room on the window display.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just want to see the figure.
Yeah, so I am currently on the Funko app, and I am looking at the newest Scarlet Witch glow from Entertainment Earth.
Yes.
And it has her with the book, with the red eyes, and it has the glow sticker above her first name and the EE sticker, above her the second part of her name. That's okay. Yeah. That's fine. I can deal with that because it's doing two things. It's a glow-in-the-dark figure and it's exclusive to a certain store. But,
right.
You look at something like, ooh. All right, let's take the Pops with Purpose Spider-Man. Any of the Pops with Purpose, that's not bad because it's just a heart in the bottom right-hand corner above the Make-A-Wish. That's not bad. But some of these, like, do you have to, like, okay, I'm looking at Mini Puffed with headphones, which is a Walmart exclusive.
Uh-huh.
That Walmart sticker could be, like, twice the size smaller than what it is because it has Walmart's tag at the so it says, only at Walmart, save money, live better. Like, do we really need, at least with like and like I said, they've gotten better, but at the same time, they're not really like
I get it.
Like, to help themselves, like
right. Like if you pull up the Winter Soldier Year of the Shield one that came out not too long ago.
Yeah.
Those Amazon exclusive stickers are so big.
I hate the Amazon exclusive stickers.
And then on top of that, you stack the Year of the Shield sticker, which I think that one's a fantastic looking sticker. It's thin. It's got a cool design because it's like the shield being thrown. Just put that on there. We'll all know it's coming from Amazon because we got to buy it from Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't have both of those because the Amazon sticker's already taken up like a quarter of that window space. Now we're just stacking it on top of there. It just looks so weird.
Yeah, and
it's still got the pop, but it looks weird.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like I'm looking at and that's the other thing. They've changed. Like the GameStop sticker has changed over the years.
Yes.
And the one that they had recently before they changed it to this giant red circle where it was just black and it was like only at GameStop. It was fine. It was a small sticker. It was okay.
That's all you need.
Yeah, that's all you need. Same thing, like I'm looking right now at Art Series Catwoman. Now, say what you will about the Art Series sticker because it kind of, is there and then drips down to – but the only at Target stickers, that's a small sticker. It doesn't have – like it –
right.
It's only at Bullseye. Like
those stickers are perfect. Yeah. I think the Best Buy stickers are perfect. The old GameStop ones were great.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. You just need, hell, I think you can even just get away with just the company's logo. Like you could just probably have just the Target Bullseye or just like, like anything like that.
Yeah.
You can limit it so, I don't know, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's our hot take.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's like, and some people out there, and that's how they are, and that's fine. But some people are out there is like, oh my God, if I don't have this specific, what about the toy? Like,
right.
There's no difference between Officer Freddy Summer Convention exclusive versus Officer Freddy at the con sticker. Like, there's
as long as the figure's the same, that's all you should care about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't get. It's a whole thing. It's a whole the whole topic.
Right.
It's just crazy to me.
Like, I understand, obviously, that some of them represent differences. Like, you'll have just a common pop and then, like, a chase, for example, or an exclusive. And, like, things are different about the actual figure, though. But for, like, the Comic-Cons themselves, just, whatever sticker you get, you get.
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
And then you're good. Go about your day.
Yep. So on the flip side of the most expensive, what was the cheapest toy you bought, and what was the best deal you ever got for a figure?
Cheapest toy. I don't know if it's the cheapest, but the one that's just coming to mind because it was not too long ago, went flea market hunting, and I got a hell of a deal on some retro 1999 still in box Captain Tarples, the Gungan from Phantom Menace, with his whatever the creatures that they ride in the Phantom Menace. It's a huge 12-inch figure, and the creature that he rides is like 13 inches. The box is massive, and it's just so rad. I love the Star Wars prequels. Say what you want about them, but so I was like, this guy's coming home with me. And this guy's booth, he also then had still like in the packaging, Phantom Menace, again from '99. Taco Bell KFC toys.
Oh, those are great. Yeah.
It's just so cool. So he had all of those like set at like 10 and the Captain Tarples for like 65. And I got the Captain Tarples and 5 of those Taco Bell toys for $50.
Wow.
So I haggled my ass off with that guy. And in all honesty, like I probably could have got him even cheaper. He almost seemed just good to get rid of him because he's like, yeah, definitely like throw in the the Taco Bell ones too. I'm good with that. And he probably had them from '99 and has been trying to get rid of them ever since because most people hate the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
but not this guy. I'll take anything Phantom Menace you got.
Yeah, Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. I like both of those films.
You ready for an extreme hot take?
Uh-oh.
Attack of the Clones is my favorite Star Wars film.
Why? It's the worst love story. Oh, God, it makes me puke.
I just think that, like, George Lucas's vision that he had for it, like, in setting up the pieces there, like, obviously, like, yeah, say what you want about the acting and things like that, but that's, unfortunately, just George Lucas has just never been a people's director. He's just not good at directing emotion and things like that. But the vision that he had, the plan of, Sifo Dyas, going in to like get order the clones beforehand and then them killing him off. So that way then they knew that like Palpatine knew that then Obi-Wan would come 10 years later to get there. And they're like, oh, your clones are ready. Like everything is just so well thought out, and I just love the fact too that like the Jedi they're so up their own ass, like in their hubris, like they miss everything. Like Dooku literally tells Obi-Wan the harsh truth, like so brutally. He's just like, well, what if I told you that you guys are infiltrated by a Sith Lord right now? And Obi-Wan's just like, yeah, I don't believe you. Yeah. That's just so awesome to me that like. I don't know, like obviously the emotion, because George isn't just the best at directing that, but I love that the way that he wrote all that. I think that it was really great.
I like that part of the story. I love all of the action. The only thing that is wrong with that movie, take the damn love story out of it. You can show a hint here or there, or like when they were walking in that damn field on Naboo, I'm like, hurry up. Somebody come up behind them, pull a lightsaber, and kill them all. Like, just serious. That love story is just the worst love story in history.
It's definitely not handled that great, I will admit. But I love it for the fact of like what it is, and that it's just a pivotal thing for him as a character, and the fact that you can see. Like he straight up slaughters a whole colony of people, And she's just like, you get angry sometimes. And people are like, what? That's basically it. And then yet she's like flipping out in the next movie when he does that. But that's what I think is brilliant about George Lucas's vision there, is because he did it out of, he lost his mom and he was like just in so much pain, and she can see that and loves him. And it's like, I'll get through that with you.
Yeah.
But then the transition in Revenge of the Sith, where it's just total power. It's not about anything else other than, hey, I feel great now doing this. And then she realizes, and then she like falls out of love with that. So I think, yes, could it be written better? Definitely. But, I think the points are still there, and I'll still love that movie. I mean, it is still, I think Empire is also the best one too. Like, they're both number one for me. Yeah, but even me saying that, people will think I'm crazy, and I don't care.
Love that. Well, most people say Empire is the best because
that one,
all Jedi had was a bunch of Muppets.
Yeah.
Do you?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, sorry to derail the conversation.
This is fun. This is interesting. This is cool. Do you visit toy shows or conventions? When you visit these places, do you have a typical methodology? Do you bring a certain amount of money for what you're searching for? That kind of thing.
I'm actually going to my first one next week. So,
cool.
Very excited about that. I haven't outside, like a flea market, but flea markets have like so many different things. It's not just specific, but this is an actual vintage toy con is what it is. So I'm very excited. I'm hoping to have some self-control. I'd love to just bring like maybe $200 max. And if I can get some stuff from that, then that's great.
Yeah.
But, that's going to be, and here's the proof for it. Future Justin, if you're listening to this, if you spent more than 200, we're going to have a conversation. So hopefully I held down to that 200 firmly.
Hopefully. What do you think it is about our generation that causes our childhood toys to mean so much to us than, for instance, our parents' generation?
Oh, I mean, probably just like the stuff that came with them at the time too. Like, you had so many great animated series around figures mainly, like with your He-Man, your Transformers, your G.I. Joe, like X-Men, Spider-Man, all of those, like a lot of those great figures that shaped our childhood came from those shows and or comics first. So I think that really is what set it apart differently. And I don't know. I mean, also too, just obviously the times were different as well. So like, in like the 60s or 50s, you just didn't have the capability to get figures the way that even in the 90s were and things like that. I think like 80s and 90s were just pivotal. Like, hey, we're kind of really starting to master these figures and we can mass produce them better too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's come a very, very long way. It's not just
totally,
it's not just the, oh my God, here's this toy that has 6 points of articulation. I can't wait to play with this. Now it's like, oh my God, here's this toy that has 26 points of articulation and I can play with it so much more.
Yeah.
Than, so absolutely. It's just, Okay, so what is your motivation for purchasing toys? To display, to play, to fiddle? Describe your collecting style. Are you a completionist, a storyteller, a cherry picker, or otherwise?
It really depends on the series. If I'm going to complete something like Funko example, it needs to be a pretty small series. Like I can't do like Marvel as a whole, but like Endgame, sure. Like I think I have all the Endgame pops, and almost all the Infinity War ones. I have like all like the film Coraline. I love that movie. So I have all the Coraline pops. So, little categories within everything. Like then, I'll try and complete those. Other figures, for example, like Spider-Man's or Turtles and things like that. That's not necessarily for completing purposes. My go-to is then just, hey, do I like it? I'll get it. And the style, if I don't really get them to play, obviously, when I was younger, oh, hell yeah. Like if a toy I would get just solely to want to play with. And then as I'd get older, it was moving to just fiddle with it here and there. And now it's mainly in the box with an occasional, if they're out of there, I'll fiddle with it here and there.
Absolutely. Have you ever purchased a toy for a child with the ulterior motive of playing with it yourself?
No, but that could be a genius idea for when I do have kids.
There you go. Yeah, that's what you tell your wife. Oh, we're just going to, you take a trip and you go, let's say, to a certain town in Washington State, and we're just going to go over here and look at this booth, and I got this for our son or our daughter or what, it's really
totally.
For them. It's not for, so.
Yeah. I can guarantee you I'm probably going to get like 2 of each, probably like one for our kid and then one for me. So that way they don't want to take mine out of the box and play with mine. I already have, I can already see the future, and all of these pops will eventually be out of the box with our children playing with them. And if it brings them joy, then I'll be happy with it. But until then, I'll pristine them as long as I can.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So the next question is about toy customization.
Yeah.
Do you do any of that at all? If not, I'm going to modify it, and we're going to talk about your art.
I don't do actual like toy customization.
Okay.
I do just like the digital stuff.
Okay. So I am on your Instagram page, and literally that Darth Vader, and that was the thing. Like literally when you posted that, they were revealing stuff from Funkoville. So that's why that's why I thought it was real, because I was like, wait a minute. Oh crap.
Yeah. No, that's why I did it like that. I have like my, schedule of when I release things, and it just happened to be, when I was making that figure, Funko was announcing their Funkoville line. So I was like, you know what? Instead of just because you'll see, like, if you're on my Instagram, most of the times when I like post stuff, I do like a background that just kind of like matches with the pop.
Yep.
But for that, since it was the time, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to grab a screenshot of their Funkoville line and crop out what they have and replace it with this and try and make it look like an actual release. And the fact that you were like, whoa, look at this, and then it wasn't real, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I love when that happens. I've had like a lot of negative comments. There's been a lot of like hate stuff. Like people will like message and be like fuck you. Sorry for swearing, but people will be like, fuck you, I fell for this, why would you do that? And it's like, well, like, sorry, like I'm a concept page, and like I say, I don't like, if it fooled you for like what, 10 seconds. Like you don't have to be like mad or embarrassed or anything. You don't even have to like tell me. Like I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, that is like what like I strive for, and like what we like. There's a community of like there's other Funko Pop artists as well. And like, we take it as a compliment. Like if you think that it's a real thing, because, then it means that like we're doing Funko style quality.
Yeah.
So, if it fools you, cool. Also, I'm sorry. Also, just don't get mad. Maybe.
I mean, I wasn't mad. I was just kind of like,
no, not you. Your reaction was awesome, and I loved it. But like, if people are listening and if they've gotten mad at me in the past, like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a human and I got feelings, so don't get angry.
Yeah. Well, like they're doing, like we've talked about already. They have pop rides, they have pop moments, they have pop this, pop that. And they're starting to do some other things with the Pops. Like, literally, I just saw the Kitty Pryde one that they're coming out with.
That one's so sick.
Where she's stuck in the wall.
That one's so sick.
And I'm like, I'm looking over here at your page, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. That's WandaVision, stuck in the gauntlet. What's Wanda doing stuck in the gauntlet?
Yeah. That's I did that one because, like, I think that movie's fantastic, and I loved, like, the horror film aspect of it and the homage to, like, that was the Evil Dead reference when she's, like, sticking her hand through the mirror. That was, Sam Raimi calling back to his first Evil Dead. And then when she's crawling through it, homage to, like, The Ring and things like that. And when I saw that, I literally looked at my wife and I went, do you think if I made that a Funko Pop, people would think that's weird? And she goes, I think that's what would make it cool. Cause, like, they're starting to do kind of weird pops. And I was like, you're right. So I did it, and I think it worked. It got that's my most liked pop.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just because of how incredibly bizarre it is, or if it's because it's Wanda and everybody loves Wanda, but I'm happy with that one. I like the fact that Funko's starting to finally kind of get out of their comfort zone a bit. To not only can we purchase things like that, but also for us, like designers, we can kind of push the boundaries a bit more, and it could seem more real then.
Yeah, absolutely. The same thing with, which one is it? Like, I guess I can see Thing as a bell ringing Santa, but I think he's too angry to be a bell ringing Santa.
Yeah, that one was one of our collabs. We had, I can't remember, I think like 8 of us. Mm-hmm. We wanted to do like an advent calendar,
right? Yeah,
for the holidays, and I had 4 pops for Christmas themed. So I was just like, "What are 4 pops?" I was like, "All right, well, Fantastic Four. There's 4 of them. I can do it like that." And I knew I wanted one of them as like Santa himself. And since Santa's a bigger guy, I was just like, you know what, the thing will work. Yeah, he's a little bit of a grump. He's more of a Scrooge than a Santa, for sure. But I went with it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, some of the and obviously you've been doing, but some of these I'm like, oh, come on, Funko, like, pay attention. Yeah. Like, they have almost every single license you can ever think of.
Oh, yeah.
Except for one. They have PlayStation. They have Xbox. They have Sega.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the Nintendon'ts are very stingy with who they give their... But come on!
I mean... It'd be a win-win. Like, there's no, how much money Nintendo would get. Like, the profits would be absolutely through the roof if they did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's one of the reasons why I make a lot of like Nintendo ones, just because I know that at least for the foreseeable future, we won't ever get them.
Right.
So, I mean, that's kind of a little backstory time. That's kind of why I got into this in the first place was, I mean, it originally started, I wanted to work for Funko.
Right.
So back in like 2019, I got on a mission and I was like, I'm going to design pops until I get noticed by Funko. But like, well, they don't give a shit about that. They'll maybe steal some ideas. There's definitely been questionable times like that for sure.
I saw that recently in your story. I was like, I wonder.
Yeah. If you scroll back far enough, like in 2019, I did like the Zuko from Avatar redirecting lightning. That's, I mean, it is the pop that came out.
Yeah.
And, but so that was my goal in mind, was to like get attention by Funko, maybe get a job. It'd be cool. Obviously that wasn't happening. So then I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just enjoying this and liking the fact that I can then see Funkos that aren't real. So I want to make Funkos that don't have a chance at being made.
Yeah.
So that's been really where it transitioned into. So then I just started making pops that like I would love to see a property or a character be made in that form. And then if Funko does it eventually, like, oh, hell yeah, that's cool. I'd buy it for sure.
Yeah.
but it's mainly just, for fun. And then I've been obviously like very blessed enough to have as many people like these as much as they have and be a part of this like community then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like those Nintendo ones for sure are like some of my favorites that I do, because it's like we'll never most likely get those. So as many as I can make, the better, just so I can at least see what they would look like as Funkos.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Some of the things that they're doing now, like with the pop albums and things like that, and the pop game covers and the pop posters, like to me, that's a full-on display item. I don't need to take that. Like I have the Kramer. It's a Target exclusive.
Yeah, I got that one too.
I have that. I'm going to display that as a quote-unquote piece of art versus trying to take the pop out to take a picture of it. I can just take a picture of it with the painting behind him. The same thing with the pop albums and the whatever else. I like that Funko is doing more display things at the same time as still giving us all the regular pop things. Now, with you doing some of the Nintendo designs that you've done, the one thing, and I know your commissions are currently open, but I don't have right now, but it's just one of those things, an idea for you I thought of. Mm-hmm. You could do Captain N, the Game Master.
Oh. Nice.
You could, because I'm looking at some of these Links and Zeldas, and I'm like, would fit in.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, man, that would be hilarious. That would be awesome.
That'd be a great one for sure.
Yes. All right. Do you think toy companies should specifically have adult collector toys, child toys, or find a way to mix both?
I don't know. I mean, I think it depends, because like there's obviously something for probably a mix, if anything, because I feel like there's something for everybody, because there are adults, who like to collect certain things that, they wouldn't want to play with and get broken and things like that. But then there are also adults that want to collect things that you actually can play with. And then even same with kids. I'm sure that there are certain kids out there that, just because I don't know any doesn't mean they don't exist, that also like collecting more of the adult stuff that they can't really play with, but then also have the ones that they can. So I think if a company, a toy company really wants to like strive, I feel like that you should have a good mix where it's like, some nice collectibles, but some also then just basic, figures that you can play with. I think that that's what something a lot of toy companies should definitely do.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a "my parents got rid of my toys" story?
I don't think I do. I mean, my parents' house, they when we were born, they converted, I think it was first an exercise room, and then they were just like, just have it be a kid's playroom. And then like they just kind of let us have our toys in there. And now that we're all married and out of the house, that's been converted back, and now there's just a big closet in there that everything's been crammed into. So unless they've sold things that, we can't really see because there's so much crammed in there, that'd be pretty despicable if they did that without telling us.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, I think they're all in there. I just went to my folks not too long ago and took out a bunch of like old things that like I wanted to bring home. Like I brought back like some vintage games. Like I brought back like the Game Boy Color, and some other games and stuff that I used to play as a kid. And they were still in there, and a lot of other figures too. So I think they kept them all. So shout out to Mom and Dad for that.
There you go.
My dad has definitely threatened for sure that like, he does want all his space back. So, if we don't get everything, he'll sell it. But I don't think he really will.
Yeah, I think you can get it all before that happens.
Yeah.
Do you feel you are coming to an end of your active collecting? If so, what signified this phase for you? Was there ever a moment when you were done with toys?
Oh, well, short answer is hell no. I think if anything, the hoarding goblin in me is getting even more awoken, and I think I need more things. It's straying a bit from Funko, and getting more just into toys itself. And again, that's just because as I'm getting older, I'm getting back into more nostalgic things.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's more of just, unfortunately, things that take up more room because action figures and things like that are much bigger than Funko Pops. So
yep.
I'm now trying to balance, where we can store these and what I want to feed this goblin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if it'll slow down. Probably at some point it will, for sure. When we have kids, it'll probably transition to just, well, no, I mean, it probably won't slow down. It'll just transition to getting them toys.
Yeah.
But one day it'll probably slow down for sure.
What is something that does not have a toy of it you'd want in toy form?
I mean, off the top of the head, what we were just talking about, a lot of Nintendo Funko Pops.
Yep.
And I think those characters just would translate so well in that form. I mean, it's a crime that they have not gotten that license from Nintendo. And I'm praying. I'm hoping that one day they'll do it.
Yeah.
And then we can all go broke. But until then, that's my big wish list is Nintendo give Funko the rights to some stuff, because I think those figures would just, obviously you have your own Nintendo figure lines, and I have a lot of things from there too.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's a huge difference between an Amiibo and a Funko Pop. Huge difference.
Oh, yeah. Well, that for sure. I don't collect Amiibos. I just get like sometimes like action, like I got some like Donkey Kong like action figures and like a Samus action figure and things like that. But I think that they would just translate so cool as a Funko Pop.
What is a toy that you'd love to have scaled up and functional for the real world? So basically, have you seen the Robosyn Optimus Prime, the self-transforming, like you say, Optimus Prime, transform, and it transforms by itself. So basically, this question is kind of like that, but like on a whole, like a sharper image type scale.
Oh man, I think it'd be super cool to have like the Millennium Falcon that I had as like a kid revamped to just look so realistic, make it massive, and just put some actual like technology or something in there where it can like hover from like a base or something where it like looks like it could fly or anything, but like a realistic working but still toy where you can maybe put figures in it of the Millennium Falcon would just be so cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. How has your wife dealt with your collecting and your collection?
She's fantastic, man. The amount of pops that I have gotten over the years, the fact that she's sticked by my side through it all is just great. Like I started collecting, right around like when we started dating, and I'm sure she probably just thought like maybe this is just a fun little hobby thing here and there, but then to have it grow to like 400, maybe 500, and she's still supporting it. She calls it our collection now, which I think is cute. And there'll be even pops that she wants. Like I got her, I think it was last year's convention when they did like the McNuggets, like the ad icon, like Nugget line.
Yep.
She loved those characters, so she was like, "Oh, let's get the Nuggets," and I was like, "All right." And then, like I said, so she gets Barbies as well. So she's definitely got a collecting dorky side as well. She loves like everything Barbie, everything Lego. Really glad that, she's been so supportive and actually gets into collecting herself. I think that's just something really cool that we can bond over.
Yeah, that is so cool. That is so awesome. Same thing when my wife was still here.
Yeah.
Like at first she was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then she was so super supportive. And then I'm like, "Look, you like this. Look, you like, you like, she, because of the way her uncle used to be, it reminded her of Drunk Uncle from SNL. Well, there's a Drunk Uncle pop. Okay, I'll get that for you, or I'll do this, or I'll do that, or that kind of thing. So it's always so nice
sure.
when in both ways, there are plenty. I'm hoping one of these days I can get a couple of female Funko collectors on here, because let's face it, most of the toy collecting stuff is guys doing it. I mean, I know there are plenty of females out there that do collect, but it's so like the percentage is so off. Like it's 90-10 or something like that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Toy collecting can have its struggles. What is one aspect that you tend to struggle with the most?
Self-control. I would definitely say it's self-control when it's coming to not necessarily just like price of things, but I mean it does add up. So like even if you're like, oh, like just an $8 pop, but then if you're like, oh, but then here's this pop, and then here's this one and this one, or then there's this figure, then $8 all of a sudden is like $80 at just going out when you were just meaning to get some groceries.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's we talked about it earlier of like toy stores versus like departments and everything. That's the unfortunate thing of them being merged in one now. I'm going to get groceries at Target and I come back with like a shitload of pops and I'm like, that's not what I wanted to do today, but here we are. So definitely self-control for sure.
What is one positive and one negative memory you have with buying toys?
Positive, definitely just going like every week to get, not these actually weren't toys, but it was, a form of collecting. Every week growing up as kids, my brother and I, we would go to our local Walmart and we'd get Yu-Gi-Oh cards. We were big into Yu-Gi-Oh growing up. And we would always get a quote unquote allowance from our grandpa, even though it was just, here's just $5 for the hell of it type of thing.
Right.
And we would immediately have to go like the next day, get a pack of cards, which to think that like you could get a pack of cards for like $5 back then is just mind blowing. But so that's a great positive memory of going out there and just getting some stuff. And then negative memory is, oh man, it was probably maybe, I mean, it had to be late 90s for sure, because that's, I think, when the movie came out. But whenever The Lost World came out, there was, do you remember the like trailer that they had, that like green trailer? There was a play set of that. It was the full trailer. It would open up. It had the vet room in the back where like you can put the dinosaur, that like the baby T-Rex that they had. And I thought that thing was so cool. And this was, I think it was Toys R Us, because I don't think KB Toys ever had it. But Toys R Us had it on like their shelf up at the top. And I remember walking past it with my mom and I was like, Mom, look at that. I want that. And it was like $50 at the time. And in like 98, $50 is still decent amount of money. So she was like, no, maybe for your birthday or anything like that. And I was so bummed. And that thing has never seen the light of day since. Like my mom went back for like my birthday, never found it, and has never found it since. And that is a huge negative toy memory because, man, if I was just older at the time where I could have my own money, I would have grabbed it. And just the fact of like, that's the toy that got away from me for sure. Wow. And that's a huge negative memory.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Oh boy. All right. So you can pick whatever company, it doesn't matter, but they give you the keys to the kingdom. If you could create any toy, what would you want to create?
Any toy? Oh, wow. I'm definitely thinking something from Nintendo for sure. I would love to see, I mean, I don't know where I would like ever put it myself, but like I love life-sized things. So something like life-size, like a life-size Samus suit, I think would be so sick.
Yeah.
So, and who knows, maybe that exists. I don't think it does, but like some type of awesome Samus suit that you can like wear and like maybe like it makes noise and like the blaster works or something would just be absolutely incredible. So I would definitely be like, Nintendo, give me the rights to make a full-fledged Samus, and if I'm the only one that buys it, so be it.
Awesome. What is one piece of advice you would give the toy collecting fandom?
Be patient. I would definitely say be patient. Like, everything kind of comes in waves. So, if you're thinking like, I really want this now, I'll never get it. Most likely it's going to come down in price. You'll be able to get it again. So be patient. I know I just talked about the Lost World thing. I was never able to find that again, but that was a retro thing. Toys nowadays, with mass production and things like that, most times will always come back. So especially, I'm sure a lot of Funko people will be listening to this. So don't necessarily feel like you got to pull the trigger on a Funko. They'll always come back and things will cycle. You'll get it on a low eventually, and then you'll definitely just feel way better about yourself, because it's happened to me from experience. I've pulled the trigger way too fast, and then like a couple weeks, months later, I'll see it on a low, or I'll want to pull the trigger and I wait, and then a couple weeks later I catch it way below like the value. So then, it just you're saving money. So that's really, for any new collectors out there, I would say just try and be patient.
Yeah, patience is a virtue.
Definitely.
And it's one of those things where what makes me so mad is, and this is specifically for exclusives, it's not really like, nobody's really waiting at Target at 7:45 for a common pop. They're waiting for that, Bullseye or Target Lady or whatever. But like, what makes me so mad is that Targets only get a certain amount of stock, and either they don't have it out, or it isn't the right date yet, or everybody gets in there before you do, and they only, say they only have 10 of flocked Bullseye. Well, then you're the 11th person, you're SOL. But then you also have, which it's the biggest scummy thing in the world, scalper. Like, don't be a scalper.
Don't do it.
Yeah, it's
don't
not worth it.
It's Target. I mean, the way I don't know if it's all retailers like this. I mainly do the Target ones, but I've definitely had experiences like that where, like, I've gone the morning of, like, when Danny Phantom released that con, I think in like 2020.
Yep.
That was a Target exclusive. And that was, I loved that show. So I was like, okay, you know what? I don't want to miss out on that one. And I went there right when they opened, and it's like, thank God I did. They only had 2 Danny Phantom pops at my Target.
Jeez.
And there was just me and one other guy, and we were both able to get them. But it's like, well, what if that third person's there? Like, Are you not able to get any more inventory than that? I don't know. It's just crazy. Or are you holding out on some? Because, like, they have access to it beforehand. It's just crazy. Because they weren't on the floor. They were like, we had to ask for it. And they said, oh, let's go check. And then they were gone for like 5 minutes and came back with just 2. And they said that these were all they had. Yeah. So it's like, well, maybe you're lying. I don't know.
Yeah, that is very true. It's very, very crazy.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to take one final break and then come back to close the show after this.
Hello, all sentient beings. Want the latest on everything going on in the Transformers multiverse? Check out the Transmissions Podcast Network. We've got weekly podcasts covering everything from Alpha Trion to Omega Supreme, from old school G1 all the way up to Cyberverse and beyond. And you don't want to miss Empire of Rust, the world's first and only Transformers live play role-playing game podcast. If you love Transformers, there's something for everyone at transmissionspodcast.com.
Hey Hey, it's Wes from Poppin' Off Toys. Wanted to let you know about poppinofftoys.com. We can be your number one source for Funko collectible figures to add to your ever-growing collection. If you're in Nashville, Tennessee, we actually have a retail store that you can come by, 5916 Charlotte Pike. And for the rest of us, poppinofftoys.com is always open, and you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. And the name is just simply Poppin' Off Toys. Thank you so much, and always keep it poppin'.
Discover a world of vintage and modern toys that's more than meets the eye with the Triple Takeover Toycast.
Hosted by toy writers and photographers Toybox Soapbox, 60, and TF Square 1, this informal and chilled-out series of discussions cover everything from vintage Transformers to Mask, Diaclone, Microman, and more, be it nostalgic or current.
Whether you're a seasoned collector or a casual robot enthusiast, all are welcome.
Triple Takeover Toycast.
All right, we are back here on Toycast. This is episode 148. I am here with Justin, Mr. Pop Art himself. Where can people find you on social media, sir?
You can find me on my Instagram page. I don't have Twitter or anything like that. Don't like it. It's just not for me. So Instagram is at jbivart, all one word. It's JBIVVART, and that's where you can find. I do multiple posts a week, and that's where I also have a link to like my Etsy shop. I have a couple things for sale on Etsy, like stickers, magnets, pins, keychains. So you'll see the link there, and you can contact me via email in my bio or through DM. I do commissions as well of really anything you want, from 2D illustrations of Pops toward just 2D illustrations in general. I'm just an artist at heart. I don't always just do Funko Pops. To 3D stuff. So anything you guys have in mind, you can commission for.
Very cool, very cool. And I'm still looking at this Darth Vader, and I know exactly where I went wrong. The eyes. They finally don't look soulless.
Yes,
that's the biggest. Yeah. That's for people that aren't Funko fans. The people, just the general population that look. Oh, those are those things with the black soulless eyes. Not always. not always. I mean, it's a certain style, yes, but you have an eyebrow or a different color eye, or that Wanda that glows in the dark. It's not just. I mean, I see sometimes where those people are coming from, but it's not always the reason why. I don't know.
Yeah, the eyes are things that when I'm like designing ones that I could get away with it, I definitely try to. Like, Batman's, you can do your white eyes because of like his cowl.
Yeah.
You can have, like you said, like the Wandas. I'll always try and do a Wanda where she's like using her powers, so that way it's red eyes. The Darth Vader, for example, like they usually just do his like the tint's just black, but he's usually got a bit of a red tint in there. So I made that figure that you're talking about. I made it a glow in the dark figure. So I really pushed the red on his lenses because I didn't want it just to be the saber. I was like, let's also have the eyes glow. That'd be so sick.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I did a Dumbledore from like the book itself, like description of him. And he's described to have like piercing blue eyes in the books. So I gave him blue eyes in the Funko Pop. So so anywhere that I can kind of push the eyes, I try to, just because for the most part, it's always just the straight black eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks, this has been the latest episode of Toycast. We thank you for joining us. We will be back with more new episodes here in the future. You can interact with us by visiting the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our content. Send an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can catch us on all the places podcasts are, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, all that stuff. You can follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio for the network, @TFToycast for the show. I am @TFG1Mike. You can also follow us over on Facebook, facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network, and I think, is it TF Toycast or just Toycast? I don't remember. But you can find Toycast over on Facebook as well. As far as what's going on next time, I'm not sure. It might be another Origins. It might be a display case. And I know people listening know what display cases are, but basically for you, Justin, usually when I do a display case, it's like, okay, we each, like if there's 2 hosts or 3, if it's myself and 2 other people or myself and one other person, we each pick one toy and then we just talk about. It's kind of like YouTube reviewing, but it's in audio form kind of thing. So
awesome, very cool.
Yeah, I have the sweet thing with way back when in 2002 when WWF did the Forcible Entry album, Disturbed did the Stone Cold theme.
Oh yeah,
and
nice.
At the very beginning of that is obviously when the glass shatters, because that's the name of the tune. So I have the 2002 Skeletor. What's his name? It's Michaels. The guy who voiced Skeletor in the 2002 He-Man. He says in that show at one point or another to somebody, he says, "Don't touch." So I have the glass breaking, and then I have him saying "Don't touch" for display case, because
nice.
Once it's in the case, folks, you're not supposed to touch it.
Yeah, very cool.
Don't touch! For now, I am TFG and Mike with
Justin.
Join us next time when we'll be talking more toys here on Toycast.